with the Minneapolis St. Paul Business Journal. She was also named among the top 25 women in media by the Alliance for Women in Media Twin Cities. But some of you may not know that Maureen has made a huge career change and has moved from the newspaper to working for Dale Carnegie with our former Rotarian Matt Norman. Maureen is responsible for developing training programs with senior management of a collection of large companies. I asked her how she's doing, and she said, "I love it, I love it, I love it." So if you want to win friends and influence people, then give her a call. In addition to Maureen's career success, she's well known in the Rotarian ranks for her improv prowess. This I've always found fascinating. I won the Stevie Ray improv class in a silent auction about 3 years ago and have been too afraid to use it. Well, lo and behold, this is how Maureen got her start, so maybe I might follow you. She was involved in arranging a silent auction and thought it bad form not to bid on something. So she bid very low on a Stevie Ray 8-week course. Well, lo and behold, she won. And the rest is history, and within 6 months of this course, Maureen was auditioning for the professional troupe and has not looked back. I love to watch her perform. She never stopped smiling. I asked her what she loved so much about improv, and she said, probably quite sadomasochistically, that it is a fantastic feeling to be fearful and enjoying herself at the same time. So there you go. Maureen is married with 2 children. Her husband's hobby is to fence. So not building fences, but the jewel at dawn type of fencing. This comes in very handy, as he has to be quick off his mark to keep up with Maureen. So please put your hands together for our quick-witted, Dale Carnegie-loving, ray of sunshine, Maureen Tubbs.
Sharon. Sharon is indeed a ray of sunshine, is she not?
Yeah.
Well, it is officially Guthrie Day today at Rotary. Yes, I think Governor Dayton maybe made a proclamation. I don't know if you get that. It's fabulous. So, with all due respect to Brittany getting us on social media, of course, the original social network was at the theater. Would you agree, Mr. Dowling? Yes. And so we have guests today from the Guthrie here with us. Also joining us is Sheila Livingston. Sheila is the Guthrie's Director of Artistic Relations, so we're very pleased to have her here as well. Well, before I introduce Joe Dowling, I just want to give us an opportunity here again to register for a Guthrie event, a very special Guthrie Rotary event. Thursday, October 18th. So, surprise, you may have heard we have a website. That's where to register for this event. Very easy, very handy. So this is a behind-the-scenes look at the Guthrie. We'll be able to see how shows are taken from script to stage. You and your guests are invited to arrive between 4:30 and 5 on that Thursday, the 18th. Again, that's just next week. And then we'll be followed by a happy hour at Sea Change, right there at the Guthrie. And then, for those interested, and I'm sure all who attend would love to go, we will be joining us. Curtain time is 7:30 for Embers, directed by Joe Dowling. So a fantastic opportunity to socialize with our Rotarians and appreciate a jewel in the Twin Cities of the Guthrie Theater. So it's a delight to welcome Joe Dowling today to Rotary. Joe is the artistic director for the Guthrie Theater and is widely known for his association with the Abbey Theater, Ireland's first theater in education group. He founded the Young Abbey, Ireland's first theater in education group, and 3 years later he became artistic director of the Peacock Theater, the Abbey's second stage. In 1976, he was appointed artistic director of the national touring company, the Irish Theatre Company. He became the youngest ever artistic director of the Abbey Theatre in 1978. His tenure is particularly remembered for the encouragement and development of new plays and young playwrights. After leaving the Abbey in 1985, Mr. Dowling became managing and artistic director of Dublin's oldest commercial theater, the Gaiety Theatre. While there, he founded and directed the Gaiety School of Acting, now widely regarded as Ireland's premier drama school. Mr. Dowling has been the artistic director at the Guthrie for close to 17 years, where he has directed more than 40 productions. under Mr. Dowling's leadership, in June 2006, the Guthrie Theater opened its 3-theater complex on the banks of the Mississippi River. This complex, which Time magazine called a 21st century dream factory, has allowed the Guthrie to broaden its repertoire and provide audiences with a range of presentations in all 3 dynamic spaces. The potential of the new complex was fully realized when with the Tony Kushner celebration, for which all 3 theaters were devoted to the works of Kushner, including a Guthrie-commissioned new play, Kushner's first since 2002. And currently, the Guthrie is in the midst of another such festival, featuring works by renowned playwright Christopher Hampton. Hampton's historical play, Appomattox, recently celebrated its world premiere at the Guthrie. In addition to world-class theater, the Guthrie brings something else to the community. Through outreach programs and in connection with schools, the Guthrie provides opportunities for students to experience and participate in art. The Guthrie regularly provides tickets to programs like Project Success and offers camps and classes for students to learn about theater. Mr. Joe Dowling holds an honorary doctorate of letters from the National University of Ireland, as well as honorary doctorates of humane letters from the University of St. Thomas, St. John University, St. Olaf College, and the University of Minnesota, as well as an honorary doctorate of laws from Gonzaga University. Among his numerous other awards, Mr. Dowling is the recipient of the 2006 Sally Ordway Irvine Award for Vision. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Joe Dowling.
Rotary, I always enjoy the opportunity to talk a little about the theatre and also to hear questions that you have about what we're doing. And it's particularly pleasurable to be here at the beginning of what is our 50th anniversary season. And it's a great pleasure that my guest today is Sheila Livingston, who indeed has been with the Guthrie since the beginning, since the founding of the theatre 50 years ago. And those of you who know her and know the work that she does knows how much the Guthrie and indeed this community owes to her passion and her advocacy for the theatre. But it is 50 years. In May 7th, 1963 was when the Guthrie first opened. And I think at that time, the idea of a world-class theatre with rotating repertory, with actors playing in classical plays, was something of an unusual notion, because most of theatre in the United States, though there were small theatres around the country, most of theatre in the United States was centered around the works on Broadway. Broadway was probably the only major theatrical enterprise in the country. And it took the vision not only of 3 extraordinary men of the theatre, Tyrone Guthrie himself, who at that time was the preeminent director in the world, had worked in London, in New York, of course, and throughout the world. And 2 other men, Peter Zeisler, stage manager at that time, and Oliver Ray, a producer. Those 3 men decided that the future of American theatre could not rest solely with the commercial world of Broadway. They then went looking to, and many of you in this room know the story, but it's worth repeating as we come up towards the 50th anniversary. They went to the New York Times, to Brooke Atkinson, who was then writing for the Sunday New York Times, and said, well, if you put something in your piece about it, we're willing to set up a theatre in a city around America, somewhere that feels that the community can support that idea of a rotating repertory of classical plays. They got 7 responses, and Guthrie has talked quite wonderfully in a book that he wrote about it, about going to these various different places. But it was here in this community that he found a particular resonance, and it came because of the people who came to meet him. John Coles Jr., who that was then was the newspaper family, but John was particularly involved with the Minneapolis Star at the time. He took the newspaper's aeroplane and brought a group of people to New York, where they persuaded Guthrie and the others that this was the place to set up the theatre. And Guthrie, writing about that some time later, talked about what he was hoping to achieve. He said, we're there to offer a selection of plays of proven worth, performed at the best standards which we can achieve. And he talks also about why they chose the Twin Cities. And he says, we wound up offering the rather runty apple of our artistic mission to the Twin Cities because we wanted to work there. Why? Was it the weather? The people? The river? It was the river itself that most charmed and amazed us. It had not yet frozen over and was flowing with a lively spark through winding gorges which are still beautiful despite being exploited in the interests of trade. Eventually, the Twin Cities will realize that their river can be, and ought to be, a wonderful and life-giving amenity. It's taken London, Guthrie wrote, 2,000 years to even begin to appreciate this about the Thames. Perhaps it's not unreasonable to expect that Twin Cities will make the most out of the Mississippi in a mere 100. Less than 50 years after he wrote that, of course, the Guthrie relocated to the river. It was only, in fact, after we had decided on the river as a location for the new Guthrie that we came across this quote. I'm telling you that because at the time when we were investigating the idea of getting state funding for it and talking to individual donors, we really did indicate to them that they would be dishonoring the memory of Tyrone Guthrie and his great enterprise here in the Twin Cities if they didn't, in fact, support the idea of going to the river. But as you can see, it was something that Guthrie himself, all those years ago, did see as perhaps an inevitable opportunity that the Mississippi River would become an artistic center, as indeed it has with the Guthrie, with the MacPhail School, with the Mill City Museum, and with the whole development of the whole area down by the river that has emerged since the decision was taken to move the Guthrie down there.